Hi, this is Chris Rogers, and I'm a professor of mechanical engineering at Tufts University in Boston. And I'd like to invite you to take part in an experiment we want to run in Billund in October. We're calling it Billund Builds Music, and the idea is to get kids of all ages to build their own musical instruments and to perform on them. So Tufts, in conjunction with the Capital of Children, would like to invite you to be part of a one-week immersion into project-based learning, where kids of all ages will be designing, testing, building, questioning, arguing, and comparing musical instruments of all types. Also, we hope to give you, the teacher, a chance to play around and experiment with new ways of bringing science, technology, math, and engineering into your classrooms. So the overall goal is to build a community mindset around hands-on learning. What does it look like? How do kids react to it? And what learning is actually happening when students start to drive their own learning? We want to show the advantages of not necessarily giving the students the answers first, like we tend to do in lecture, but instead creating environments where they start to question and ask for the information, more like we tend to do in sports. Finally, we want to promote problem solving through making music, so combining the arts with the math, the science, and the engineering. Our goals for you, the teacher, is to give you the opportunity to experiment with and refine your teaching methods to try and enhance the ability for your students to be innovative and creative, to pull in some of the new assisted learning parts of the new Danish standards, and to teach the kids how to be entrepreneurial and have an entrepreneurial mindset. We also want to give you time to reflect on and play with new creative ways of teaching, and most importantly, we want you to have fun. We want to get everybody to think critically about what it is that we're trying to do as teachers. I contend what we're trying to do is get an idea from our head into the head of our students. And we can do that in one of three ways. We can tell the students our idea, we can show the students our idea, or we can enable the students to come up with their own idea. So we can give them instructions on how to build their own musical instrument, or we can ask them to design, invent, and build their own, and then help them along the way. I don't believe that good teaching is one or the other of these, but really more of a balance of all three of these things. And we hope to give teachers, parents, and administrators a chance to play with that balance and see what works well for them as mentors and see what works well for different kids in their classrooms. We also want to find ways to help students help themselves and find better ways of teaching kids how to be curious, how to innovate, and how to fail. In particular, creativity and failure are very closely linked, because to be creative, you have to take a risk. The larger the risk, the more creative you are, the greater the chance of failure. So finding ways of making kids take those risks and not be afraid of failure. Finally, we want to really design activities and problems for the classroom that have no one right answer, but instead have a large diversity of possible right answers, like musical instruments. If you do that, that causes the kids to not only be interested in what they're doing, but what their peers are doing as well. And suddenly their peers become mentors for them as well. So the plan is to take a week in the end of October and have the kids design and build musical instruments, design the timbre of their musical instrument, to compose pieces for the instruments, to practice the instruments together or as solo performers, and then to perform their instruments during the week before the festival. And then, then the following week is when the festival actually happens. The festival is a live music in schools festival. It's a 2-day festival of music starting Sunday night in the Billund municipality. There will be workshops and conferences as well, and we are hoping to add this hands-on making portion of the festival for the first time. And what do we expect the instruments to look like? Well, you can imagine an instrument of just drinking straws for panpipes, rubber band guitars, or maybe more complex Lego trombones. But then comes the question of, well, what are the students actually learning? So we're going to bring out a number of education researchers from Tufts to try and capture the design practices of the different groups. We'll take a handful of video case studies looking at students, parents, and teachers to see how the students or the parents or the teachers navigate through the design process. We'll look for changes in knowledge around the science of sound, how sound is generated, how it is transmitted, how it is absorbed, what causes pitch, what causes timbre. And then, of course, we'll also measure the motivation and the passion and the enthusiasm in the students. What we hope to see are students, teachers, and administrators all designing together and building new types of musical instruments. We hope to see really nice instruments. And what I'm really excited to see are marching bands, street performances, and orchestras playing with students on instruments that they've built, songs that they have composed. So what is this going to look like? Well, we already started in January where Ethan flew out to Denmark to have a meeting with teachers and principals and policymakers to try and figure out how to start the discussion on how to integrate this into the schools. We have to better understand what you teachers want in order to really integrate it tightly into what is going on in your classroom. We'll continue those meetings. In April, we will actually develop a virtual world where students and teachers will be able to share the final projects as well as the process they went through to build the instruments, as well as getting tips from each other as they're building the instrument itself. In May, we will run a pilot program in Boston, trying it out with students here to see where the potential problems might lie and to get a better idea of the design space. In June, we'll have finished developing all the research methodologies for how we're going to actually measure the learning. In October, we will come out on October 19th to start the building, and for that entire week, we will work with students at all age groups in all schools to design, build, and perform on their own musical instruments, building off of programs that we've been running here at Tufts for the past 15 years. The festival itself will happen on the 24th and 25th. And then in December, we will share the final analysis of all of the research on the learning that happened during that week. So I hope you'll be able to join us in this, and I look forward to seeing what everyone builds. Thank you very much.